In this video, we're going to have a look at the compound interest formula, how it works, and we'll have a look at a couple of examples of how you can use it to calculate compound interest over a period of years, months, or days. To start off, let's compare the compound interest formula, which is this one here. Let's compare it to the formula that we used in our last video, which was the exponential growth formula. Now you'll notice straight away that they look really similar. They both start off with A, but from there on in things change. So in the last video, we said that A0 represents the starting number or the starting amount. Well, for compound interest, because we're talking about money, this time instead of A0, we use the letter P, and that represents the principal amount. That just means the money that you start off with. So it could be the money that you invest at the very beginning, or maybe it's the money that you borrow at the very beginning. So P is the principal amount. Next we have 1 plus, which is similar, but because we're calculating today interest that we're earning, it's going to be a plus equation. Last time it could have been plus or minus. R is the same as last time. R represents the rate as a percentage. And N, again, same as our last formula, just represents the number of periods or the number of times that we're going to calculate interest. So is the number of compounding periods. So that just means how many times the interest rate is recalculated. Now the start of our formula, we mentioned this one before. A is the total amount of the investment. So let's have a look at our first example. Grace invests $100,000 for 5 years at 3.5% per annum. So let's have a look at all the numbers in this particular sentence, and we'll figure out where they go inside our formula. So first of all, we need to think about, well, what is our principal amount? So the principal amount just means how much are we starting off with. So in this situation, Grace starts off with $100,000, lucky her. The next thing in our formula we need to have a look for is our interest rate. So the rate in this case is going to be 3.5%. And then finally, we need to think about N, which is how many times is this interest being calculated? Now this is a tricky one and we need to think about this carefully. Our little sentence says that Grace invests $100,000 for 5 years, so that's how long the money's in the bank for, and it's at an interest rate of 3.5% per annum. So per annum just means each year. So it'll be in the bank for 5 years, and it gets calculated once every year. So that just means the number of compounding periods is 5. So what we can now do is substitute each of those values into the formula, and then we can use our CAS to evaluate and find out what is the total investment amount, or how much money does Grace have after 5 years. So after investing her original amount of $100,000, Grace now has $118,769 in her bank account. So we say that this is the total investment. Now, if we wanted to know how much she's earned over that period of time, or how much interest, and usually we use the letter I, capital letter I, to represent the amount of interest, what we need to do is we need to get the amount that we now have, and we need to subtract the original principal amount. So what that looks like is 118,769 minus 100,000. What that leaves us with is $18,769. So the total amount that Grace now has is this much. But how much interest has she earned in that time? That's capital I. That's $18,769.